off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Hola, bonjour, greetings, konnichiwa. What else you got?
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag, all of that good stuff. It is I, McDeedus, and I have the lovely Court Nail with me. And we are missing Ronnie today because who
It's
needs him?
fine. Who needs
Nobody.
him? Nobody.
Nobody needs him. Girl power.
Exactly.
Just
Girl
as
power
Coach
hour.
was useless during the delivery of Shauna's baby, Ronnie is useless in this podcast on this day.
Exactly.
We talk about Yellowjackets. I don't know which episode this is. 7, 6,
I think it's 6.
6.
It's 6.
But we're
processing.
that's the word. A lot happened, but not a lot at the same time. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Let's start with, we knew this was going to be the delivery episode. Yes, well, mostly
I think we kind of
knew.
knew because, like, at the end of the last episode, it basically was telling us that it was about to be.
I didn't know it would be this. How okay, if you had to go from scale, I guess do a percentage. How much of a percentage did you think that the baby survived and was out somewhere in the wild?
Kind of 70-30. I thought the kid was going to survive but disappear. That's what I thought. I thought survive but disappear. And I saw that and I was like, I guess, like even the percentage of like me not thinking that the baby would survive, I didn't think it would be like this.
Exactly. Because, we've had theories of, oh, this could be the baby. This could have been the baby. Or maybe he's the baby. And now we know that nobody's the baby because he didn't make it.
It's kind of, again, I don't know if you've seen Rosemary's Baby. It's like a very direct parallel, and I saw a really good theory that I'll get to later.
Okay, don't forget it.
Yeah, I won't.
At what point did you realize that Shauna was hallucinating?
If I'm remembering correctly, I think, isn't it winter? And then it wasn't winter in the hallucination. The foliage was green, if I'm remembering right. So I
didn't realize that it wasn't actually happening until they showed them eating the baby. At that point, I thought she was dreaming, and I still didn't think she was hallucinating. I didn't realize she was hallucinating until, she woke up. And I guess that was just my brain just trying to hope that something good was going to happen. Like, this is the first time I've watched the show because, good things happen all the time on the show. Every episode
it's a feel-good show.
It's sweet and happy and butterflies.
I really thought the baby was going to make it, though. I thought the baby was going to make it, that we were going to be led on, and then she was going to wake up and the baby would be gone. That's what I thought, genuinely.
Mm-hmm. You're pretty close. I mean, the baby was there, the actual, fetus, but the soul, of course, wasn't there because the baby didn't make it. Now, we should have known that something was up when the placenta came first, and you can't.
Yeah, it's a good sign, yeah.
Delivery is already, it's already a big deal, and I do like how, I can't remember if it was, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, women have been having babies for years. You'll be fine. Like, we can do this, because that is very true. However, you've been in the wilderness with no doctor, barely eating this entire pregnancy. You need a doctor.
I think from when I saw, teenage pregnancies have a higher occurrence of stillbirths, if I remember correctly.
And you crashed, like the plane crashed, and you've been eating dead people. So it's not a very,
which is actually genuinely bad for you. Like, it's not just like like immoral, but like it can kill you if you continue to eat people.
And I can only imagine what it does to
like humans like make
baby.
like a poison. Fun fact, we make like a poison.
Thank
If
God.
you continue
We
to eat
should.
us, right?
Yeah, we
Right.
should be
Like,
eating each other.
period.
Um, there was a point though, well, when we're in the current timeline for the show,
Mhm.
and Syracuse and what's his name, Kevin, which are
Mhm.
the detectives, have figured out that Syracuse has been made because, I mean, clearly we know that the lotion was in the condom because Randy's the greatest person ever. If you're going to try to figure out how to beat the cops, call Randy. He would be perfect to get
Mhm.
you away with a crime. But now they figured out that she's lying, and they did a good job of reminding us that Shauna was a child when she went through such a traumatic event. And then she came home, and it seems like she got married shortly after coming
Very
back.
quick. I feel like based off the timeline that we can tell, it seems like very quick. Like, how old is she in like the wilderness timeline? Is she like
She's
17?
like 17. Yeah.
So
But
she had to have gotten quickly married.
Callie is 16, 17 now. So that means
She's like
there's
34,
8
35.
years in between because it was 25 years since the crash, right?
Oh, that's
It's
right.
25 years.
Yeah.
So there was an 8 year gap between the time I guess she got back and when she got married and then had Callie. But that's not a lot of time.
No.
It's not, because she's like you said, she's 8. If she was 17, if Shauna was 17 when they crashed, or 17 when they got back, I don't even know. She could have been were they seniors? I think they were maybe seniors. So she's 17.
Mm-hmm.
So she's 8 years from now, what, 25? Already
Mm-hmm.
married
Which
with a
is
baby.
very young. Yeah.
And then you got to remember they lost a year and a half in the wilderness. And then I don't know how school works. Like, do they have to repeat
That's what
that
I've
grade?
always
I don't know.
wondered.
So it's just a lot. So I say all that to say I know I give her a lot of shit for being a bad mom, but she still is though. Like, I know she's gone through a lot, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she's not a good mother. And I think that because, like Jeff said, you've implicated our child in this crime that we committed. And I
And I
committed the
think that's like
crime
the
because of
biggest
you.
thing. I think that's the biggest thing, especially like when it comes to, I'm not a parent, but when it comes to parenthood, it's like you're not only like setting yourself up for this danger now, like you've like planted this seed in your child. And to like that, to me, like that's like one of the biggest failures of parenting.
Yeah. And I didn't give Jeff enough smoke because I often forget a lot of this started because of him blackmailing them. Like, he started
That's
this whole
right.
thing. And it's not his fault that Shauna went and slept with this dude and murdered him, but he's kind of a catalyst. Like, he's a part of it building
Like
up.
this
Like, Travis,
wouldn't
of
have
course, is the
happened
catalyst, but
maybe without his involvement. You know what I mean? It's like a domino. Like you can't help that like this domino keeps going, but like you
Mhm.
started the first one.
Like, if you hadn't pushed the first one, then the rest of them wouldn't have fallen over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we give Travis part of it because, of course, that's why they're all coming together. But a part of them thinking they're being blackmailed is because Jeff is blackmailing them. Like, but anyway, they get to the police station, and then the craziest part is Shauna's like, "Well, what if he slept with her or something to that effect?" So she's planting a seed in Callie's mind to say, "Hey, we could use this." Now, we mentioned this before though. We're not giving Syracuse any credit or any slack
Mm-hmm.
because the whole operation was shady from jump.
From
Like,
the start.
from the very start. Um, I just don't like her lying on him though, because that's still wicked. Like, you shouldn't be lying about people sexually assaulting you, or having sex with you, or whatever else,
It's
because
just dirty.
she's
Just dirty.
weaponizing her femininity, and she knows that people will believe her, or at least they should believe her, especially since she's this white child
Just like,
and
yeah, like
he's this
it's like the
creepy.
believe women thing. So it's kind of
Yeah.
taking advantage of that.
And he
Especially with
didn't
white
help.
women, it's like it is a contingent point of weaponizing.
It's
Like
ugly.
we
It's very
know.
ugly. Yeah. And he's setting himself up to be used in that way because he's creepy. Like, I understand you're a police officer, I understand what you're trying to do, but we've said from the jump, this whole thing just didn't make
Shady.
sense. But Callie has like this revelation while she's there. I'm sorry, not Callie. Shauna has this revelation while she's there she was talking to Syracuse, right? She's talking to Matt.
I think it was,
and Callie was
yeah.
talking to Kevin. Yeah, she's talking about how, she has this baby and she has this husband, and she's doing this out of guilt, and then she can't fully love them. And at this point, we don't really. I mean, you get it, but you don't understand the depth of it because of her deceased child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see then this whole thing that she has, and I understand that it was a hallucination, and I understand that none of that really happened, but you can't really, I guess, separate her from her memory, right? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
somebody said something to the effect of memories are at some point just memories of memories. So it's like
No, and that's
you're not
true.
actually
Yeah.
remembering the event. You're remembering how you remembered the event, the thing that happened. So for Shauna, that hallucination could feel just as real as whatever else feels to everybody else. Because in her mind, it went on for days, right?
No, yeah, for days.
Yeah.
It's like every time you remember something, it's like making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Eventually, gets faded. So it's the same thing.
And so with that being said, what we're trying to get to is that you can't say, oh well, she didn't have the baby, so it's like, you don't really, you can't say how you feel, or you can't say whatever else that felt real to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that's like. I have no idea. Even if you've had the misfortune of going through the same thing Shauna has, you still don't know what she feels, because everybody has
Mm-hmm.
their own thing. So her explaining that it's hard to love the children and hard to love him and all of these things, it felt to me less of her just being selfish and a bad mom, and of course more of just 100% fear of the same thing happening with Kelly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
forever. Like, there's always this thing, for me at least, that you never stop worrying about your children ever. Like, it just doesn't go away. And I'm sure some of y'all can relate, or most of y'all can relate, because you got parents. So
Mm-hmm.
they never stop thinking about you. They never stop worrying about you. And you kind of feel the same way about your parents. I'm always thinking about my parents. I'm always not necessarily worried about them, but thinking of them and trying to wish away whatever bad thing happens. So I think Callie's got this thought of, if I don't love them, or if I don't get attached to them, if something does happen, then it won't be
Yeah,
so bad, which is sad for her, I
it
think.
is.
I
Just
think.
everyone needs like therapy, like real therapy. Oh, speaking of therapy, I have a theory. I think Lottie's therapist is a hallucination.
Okay.
So, because first of all, no therapist would ever say to lean into your hallucinations. Either that or the therapist is like the entity causing the hallucination. Because this time we didn't even see the therapist's face. And I've noticed, I rewatched the last episode that we saw therapists, they're both wearing white, which usually represents like purity. And this time they're both wearing like a deep red color
Mm-hmm.
because the subject matter was darker. I think that's not real because again, we didn't even it shows us like a dream. Like, when you dream, if you remember a dream, you may not always like see people's faces and whatnot. Things are
Mm-hmm.
blurry. This is a hallucination. I'm almost certain. Again, like this is a TV show, but I'm like, a therapist would never say that. I think this is either like a straight up hallucination or a guided hallucination by this entity kind of feeding these thoughts. That's my theory.
I wouldn't be surprised though, but and she's also had some unconventional therapy, because they said they thought she was in their words, not mine, a loony house in Switzerland or
Mm-hmm.
somewhere,
Some kind of like
Czechoslovakia,
woo.
somewhere off. Yeah, Sweden, Switzerland, somewhere
But
off. She was
it's like
off.
it's giving a hallucination, especially not this time. I think we were deliberately not shown the therapist's face because before we always had been. So
Wouldn't be
why
surprised.
it like we have the view from behind the therapist.
Yeah, and we haven't. You're right.
And I think
I,
it makes sense for Aladi's arc this season.
and especially since the whole thing has been, we brought it back. It's still here. We brought it back with us. That would make sense, because Lottie was the one that was making the sacrifices and
I thought
leading
the
them in the
therapist is
chance.
like the
And
entity and it's like a dream.
I wouldn't be. That's actually a very good
I know. I
very
like it.
good
I
theory.
went like Boom. As soon as like we didn't see it, and then I'm like, they're wearing the same color. And I looked at the last episode. They've always worn the same color, and the color that they're wearing kind of represents the tone of their conversation.
Mhm. Okay. Let's talk about
Anyway,
Coach Ben for a second. He's totally dying, right?
he's like, and I'm like, soon.
Yeah. Is he eating?
No, I don't think so.
I was thinking. My thought was, of course, that he's starving to death because he doesn't want to eat anyone, and he's afraid that whatever food they give him will be, I guess, somebody. He's just not willing to eat anyone, and I actually think he's at that place where people make peace with dying.
I was gonna say, I think he almost like
He's
wants to
done that.
die.
Yeah, because he
It's like
keeps
he's not
thinking
like
about
trying
who
to
he
cause
left.
his death, but it's like I'm not gonna do anything to prevent my death.
Yes, that's exactly right. Like if I fall off a cliff, then
Right. If I fall,
hello
he's like, I'm
darkness,
not
my
gonna
old friend.
jump, but if I slip, I'm not gonna try to grab the branch.
All this ice out here, I could
As
very
long as it's
well
not the
just
poop cliff.
fall off. Um, I think
He's gonna get
though,
eaten.
yeah, they're gonna eat him. They're absolutely gonna eat him because I mean, I hate to say it, but why
Irony.
not? Yeah. Um, with Shauna's revelation about not loving anybody and all of that good stuff, I think it went very well. They wrote it very well, which is why I need to pay
Mm-hmm.
these writers, by the way, pay the writers.
Pay the
But they wrote it
writers.
very well because it showed when she finally decided, because she told the baby, I'm sorry I didn't want you, or I thought I didn't want you, but I love you so much, and it's just me and you against the world. And she's just professing her love for her child, and she's just allowing herself to love him, to give herself to him, to mother him, and then in turn, in her hallucination or whatever else, in turn, he reciprocates that because he can feel your babies can feel the energy, which is part of the reason why he wasn't eating. But of course, once she finally lets him know, "Hey, I love you. It's us. I got you. I'll do anything to help you." That's when he realizes, "Okay, I can latch on and eat." But as soon as that happened, that's when she popped out of the hallucination and it was all taken away from her. So it
Mm-hmm.
tracks with her just not wanting to connect or
Right,
just
because it's like the
latch
one time I
on.
have.
And like she said, you can't help it. You love them anyway. They're her family. Of course, she loves her daughter. Like she does. She loves her daughter. She loves her husband, but she's never going to allow herself to fully fall for them to the point where she feels like they can hurt her. She
Mm-hmm.
can't help that. Like it's gonna hurt regardless if something happens to him. When I hope that doesn't. I mean, Callie's annoying, but I don't want her to die or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other part is what do you think is going to happen? So everybody's there. Van, Nat, Misty, um, Ty, and Lottie are now
Yeah.
all at this place.
I
They
think
have
Lottie's up to
assembled.
something.
As Ronnie says, they've assembled.
But it's weird because they all have like different energies of being there. Like they all have like different reactions, which I find is very interesting. But I don't know. I kind of
Van,
feel like Lottie's up to something. I don't know.
yeah, Van was the one that surprised me the most, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because when they were in the wilderness, she was the one to me that seemed like she was gravitating the most towards her.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the other Mira, I think her name is
I
Mira
think.
Mila, whatever her name. Her, she's the most, you know, latched. But it seems like Van was very connected. She understood what Lottie was trying to do, and she was agreeing with it. And now it's like she wants almost nothing to do with it. She seemed like almost disgusted when she saw Lottie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't believe she's here.
I
I
was a
can't
little
believe I have to
intrigued
be
by
around
that.
her.
Yeah, I was like, I want
Yeah.
more details.
But I did notice that even when they all got there, even when they saw Misty, they all like hugged her. They were like happy to see each other, which was
Mm-hmm.
cool in a way
Interesting.
because they're
Yeah.
still trauma bonded, but they are bonded in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very interested to see how it works out. Oh, did you notice that Nat, she was trying to shoot at those cans when she was out there the
Mm-hmm.
target practice and she couldn't hit anything,
Mm-hmm.
which is, and I mean, she might be rusty because she hasn't done it in a while, but I wonder if it's just because she's off. Like she just, like if something is happening to her while she's there at the compound, like you said, if Lottie's up to something, are they drugging
Yeah,
her?
yeah,
Is
that's what I'm
she
wondering. I'm like, if she's like just kind of
off?
not fully like it's like this state in between consciousness and unconsciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
Because
wondering because it kind of gave that, like like when you're kind of woozy out of anesthesia. That's what it felt like that.
like she's kind of out of it, like
Mm-hmm.
she's maybe roofied. I don't know. And the
Wouldn't say much.
fish, she was given the fish to take responsibility for the evening, and I thought she was about to kill it. I'm so happy she didn't, but I really did when she's squeezing it, but she couldn't, which is a good sign though, because
Mm-hmm.
she cares about something, which is good.
Something.
um I don't know though how it's going to pan out. I guess that's the thing I'm trying to wonder now. Cause now I'm in full like, okay, where do we go from here? And hopefully we'll find out. Cause
Yeah, I'm very
at this point we don't know.
interested. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be messy.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see a really interesting theory.
Okay.
So like you've seen Rosemary's Baby,
Yes.
and that this is like clearly tied to that. And towards the end of Rosemary's Baby, she says something along the lines of something about his eyes, what's wrong with his eyes. There's people that are theorizing that the baby ends up becoming the no eyes man.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a second, because again, this is like very clearly like Rosemary's Baby inspired, and that was like a very clear quote at the end of the movie.
The only possible objection I have to that is that Ty has seen the man with no eyes before. Like she saw it when she was before they had the crash. Now that it still could have evolved into something else, I guess. Like it doesn't have to be that this was the man
Or
with one
maybe
eyes and it's
like
always this
took
one.
out the soul of the baby, and it's like once they discarded the baby, or this is my new vassal.
And it's very possible because, like I said, it doesn't mean that the
I
man with no eyes has to be that same version that Ty saw.
that's
Child, I
I
don't
would,
know.
again, because I know the last episode we were talking about like what do we want to happen. I would
Mhm.
narratively wise, not more likely, would be pleased with that narrative.
So you want the baby in some form to still
I
have a
want it to mean
presence.
something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I feel like it's got to mean something
For this
other than them
season,
like Shauna being traumatized. Like I don't
because
know if
it
I
feels like
like.
that's all it
I
is at
don't.
this
It
point.
just kind. I don't know if I like the idea of birth trauma. Just like that being the purpose. I guess I kind of want a greater purpose for this.
Agree, because her and Jackie still could have had static without her being pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Because she could have found out she slept with Jeff without her being, yeah. And then the baby, her being pregnant and having a baby that doesn't make it, like you said, what was the point?
Yeah, I just don't appreciate that kind of stuff.
Just to
Not
have it
having the
in there.
proper narrative. Like
Yeah.
it didn't have to happen. But I think that would be like a really smart way to do it.
With you, I wanted to mean something. I hope it means something
I hope
because
it does. Maybe
because
this
if
again,
not,
this
it
girl
just
power hour, like us being women, it's just kind of like the come on, I'm kind of tired of that.
yeah.
So but I think it would be a really intriguing take. And again, it would be like true Rosemary's Baby. Because isn't like that the whole thing? The baby's gonna get like possessed, and
Yeah, it's like devil. It's the devil
but does it like
incarnate, which
immediately
is
become possessed? I feel like because there has to be like doesn't have like a soul in the body for it to be inhabited.
right.
So I feel like that's like and maybe that might be like the twist at the end of the season.
I need something at the end of the season. And it's not that I haven't enjoyed this. I've enjoyed the ride. I do think that this season has given us a lot of information, which is what we need, but I do want to dive into the if we're going to have the supernatural stuff, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's
Like
get
let's
into it
not
because I think it's clear that we got the supernatural stuff at this point, right?
it's
And what
there.
better way to like solidify? Oh, it's here than the baby.
Hmm. We got to have it in there. For you to be happy, because I think there are 3 episodes left. Again, if we get them, I would love to, but I also support paying the writers. So if we don't, it is what it is. But there are three left. There's Burial, It Chooses, and Storytelling. Those are the last three episodes. What would you like to see in those three?
Of course, I feel like the next episode is going to be almost all what's going on with this assembly, because I feel like something sinister is going on. I don't know about the next one, but like I said, the final one, I would love the last shot again to be like a pan out of, again, like we think this is like a dead baby or whatnot, and then baby opens his eyes and is like no eyes. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Like that? That'd be kind of like, whoa.
I cannot imagine. Speaking of pan out, did you see the symbol on the ground when they panned out from the? Yeah, Lottie's still doing her rituals and her whatever else. The whole cult is.
Again, like something's up though. I feel like there's a huge ulterior motive again, especially with the kind of not being all there.
Yeah, I was thinking we were getting close to them being rescued, but now that I think about it, we're not, because they were there, I think, 19 months, and they've only at this point been there 10.
You know what about, yeah, like what, you know what it feels like? Like, I feel like we might not even have them get out until like halfway through next season, because it makes sense. It's almost 2 years, right? So I feel like if we get like through half of next season, that's technically like the remaining time with the way the pacing is done. Does that make sense?
And the good thing is they did show them rescued, but
like
they were still.
We know they're going to get rescued, but it's interesting to see how it wraps up. I just don't see it happening. I feel like there's too much that's going to happen. I feel like we're going to, like, the coach might die at the end of the season. You know what I mean? And that's too.
So do you think
too much needs to happen? I think.
Do they start the ritual by the end of this season, or do you think that's not going to come until next season? The ritual of who gets that Queen of Hearts, because we noticed, and I know I missed it. I'm not sure if everybody missed it, but I missed it when Akila asked Javi where'd he get that Queen of Hearts from. So we know that card comes into play because we're pretty sure. I'm pretty confident that that's the card they use to determine who's the sacrifice for that time.
What if the final episode again, like we do like timeline, like, you know how like it shows like different things happening at the same time. We show the ritual happening, and at like the very end, that's when we get the pan out of the baby.
You are really serious about this, baby.
I just want something to happen. Like, to me, it makes sense. Like, I can visualize it. I think if we're gonna see it, we're gonna see it at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I need that to be a cliffhanger.
What's gonna happen with Callie and the police and all of that stuff? Because I mean, it can't just go away. I guess it could if they fall into that trap of lying about if they lie about the police officer having sex with Callie. I guess it could if they're like, we don't want to go down that road, but she can't just get away with killing Adam, right? Yeah. Because I still feel like somebody's going to come for Adam.
Yeah.
At some point. His family's got to come. Somebody's got to figure out what happened to him. Like, the police are on it, but I feel like there's got to be family or something that says, hey, have y'all made any, do you have any leads? Do you have anything that shows what happened to my loved one because he was murdered? Well, do they know that he's missing? They don't have his body.
He's missing.
They don't have his body. The girls took care of the body.
Oh, that would be a good cliffhanger if like we close on his body being found.
Because I know they cut it up, right? But I don't think they dissolved it. I can't remember what they did with the body. I have to look it up. I have to look it up because I don't think they like put in acid or anything. I think they cut it up.
The first mistake.
But I don't remember what they did with it. I have to look it up. I'll know.
They should have it found like at the beginning of a Law and Order episode where it's like a dog on a walk and snip, and it's like, oh my god!
Of all the things in the world, this is
openings.
Is this a femur? Yeah, that's probably
I literally was thinking, I was like, dang, people just cannot go on average jogs in Central Park because I was watching Law and Order. I was like, why do people go there?
Does not happen. They find something every single time.
I'm like, why? There's a body found every day. I'm like, I don't want to go jogging.
You're
either the body or you find the body while jogging.
Um, are the five? Is it five? It's Van, Ty, Misty, Lottie. It feels like somebody else. Oh, Shauna. Are those the only survivors?
I think that's what what it's panning out to be.
Oh,
So
did
we
I miss
gotta see
Misty?
some people die.
Van, Ty, Lottie, Shauna, Misty. So it's just the five. So is that it? Oh, and Nat.
Nat.
So it's just 6 people?
I think so.
Because if that's the case, and Javi somewhere, I'm assuming.
Somewhere we don't know.
Travis made it. He just died. So I guess that's at least 7 people that we know made it back. But it could be more. It could be. They could just pop back up like Van did and like Lottie did last season. So somebody else could come, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just interested.
I said mine. Well, that's all I have. You have anything to add? You have any thoughts or?
I don't think so. Like I said, I just really want to know like what Lottie's up to because it's something.
She is. Do you think she seems really afraid, and it's almost like the entity is coming. It's like it's time for a harvest. It's time for another sacrifice. It's time for whatever else.
And that's what I think is happening.
So was she just placating it for all this time with her cults and kind of giving
I think
it?
so. So I don't think she's a pure evil. I think she thinks she's doing the right thing, and she's like, "Well, I can't prevent this, but what can I do to make it not as bad as it has to be?"
Because remember when she cut her hand the last time, she said, "Can this please be enough?" So I'm with you. She doesn't have a bloodlust. She's not out to go and sacrifice these people. It's just to her a necessary evil, I guess, to keep her and her family safe. Because they're her family. Like they are family at this point. You survived 19 months in the wilderness together, your family.
So then I wonder who goes.
I don't know.
If you had to pick someone, who do you think it would be?
If I had to pick someone, Van, maybe?
I think maybe Van.
Only because she's been away. Like we're not as attached to her. Like
there's not as much to like go from there.
Right. And we still got to figure out how Simone pans out. Like, is she okay? I mean, I know she's alive, but she's still in the hospital, and Ty is just off somewhere with the cult. Like your wife's not at the hospital still because you let her get hit by the car. You or the other one, somebody, but she got hit by the truck. So it's a lot of stuff they need to kind of, I won't say tie up because I'm assuming there'll be another season, but there's some storylines they kind of need to at least put us on some trajectory that makes sense. I think
we'll have a lot of development next episode. I really do.
I hope so.
Things start to kind of converge.
Yeah, because this episode being a lot on that delivery, that was a lot, and I could use a little break, like a little, not a break, but like a little, just.
I need time. I need to watch something happy.
I know. I watched it, and I had to watch something after it because it was a lot. But it was a great episode. I give it kudos. They did a good job. The actresses were magnificent.
Oh God,
it was great.
So
they did
talented.
A good job. They really are. They really are. But that's all I have.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm glad we were able to talk about it. I feel better.
It's like a therapy session, but with the real people, not a hallucination.
People we can say we're actually here.
We're actually here. Or are we?
Or are we? Maybe, yeah. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As Ronnie says, watching. So until next time, peace.